We're in December 1989. Communism is collapsing in Eastern Europe. The Berlin Wall just fell. Poland elected a non-communist government. Hungary opened its borders. And Czechoslovakia had its Velvet Revolution. But here in Romania, things are different. Romania has Nicolae Ceaușescu. For 24 years, he's ruled the country with an iron fist. A cult of personality that rivaled Stalin. A secret police force that infiltrates every aspect of life. And an economic policy so catastrophic that Romanians are nearly starving, while he exports their basic necessities to pay off foreign debt. The other Eastern Bloc countries are letting their communist regimes dissolve peacefully. Romania won't be so lucky. But the people are tired of this. A revolution will start with a single pastor, escalating into street battles, and ending with the violent overthrow of its communist government. When it's over, Nicolae Ceaușescu and his wife Elena will be dead, shot by firing squad on Christmas Day. The footage broadcast on national television. This is the story of how it happened. Let's go back to 1965. Romania has been communist for 18 years, part of the Soviet sphere since World War II ended in 1945. That year, Nicolae Ceaușescu becomes the country's leader. He's 47 years old, a career party man, and at first, things actually seem hopeful. He loosens internal repression, opens up to the West. In 1968, when the Soviets invade Czechoslovakia, Ceaușescu publicly condemns them. He's the communist leader who stands up to Moscow. But by the 1970s, the mask slips. In 1971, he issues the July Thesis, a return to rigid ideological control. The party must dominate everything: art, culture, education, private life. Nothing is outside its reach. What follows is 2 decades of neo-Stalinism. Ceaușescu promotes a cult of personality unprecedented in Romanian history. Ceaușescu rotates officials constantly to prevent anyone from building a power base. He relies on family members to fill key positions, especially his wife Elena. The secret police, the Securitate, becomes his chief instrument of control. But the worst part is the economy. In the 1970s, Romania borrows heavily to fund industrial projects. When those projects fail, the country is drowning in foreign debt. Ceaușescu's solution is to export everything: food, fuel, medicine, anything that can be sold abroad. The result is catastrophic. Extreme shortages of food, fuel, energy, medicines. Any basic necessity is gone for most people. Living standards plummet and unrest intensifies. By the late 1980s, Romania is a police state in free fall. The economy is collapsing and Ceaușescu is more isolated than ever. His foreign policy isn't helping. The West has withdrawn the financial credits it once gave Romania as a reward for independence from Moscow. To keep the economy afloat, Ceaușescu has to turn back to the Soviet Union, the old antagonist he spent decades trying to escape. And this is happening just as Mikhail Gorbachev rises to power in Moscow. Gorbachev is promoting glasnost and perestroika, openness, reform, everything Ceaușescu despises. Ceaușescu rejects any reform. He doubles down on repression. He tightens control over minorities, especially the Hungarian population in Transylvania. He curtails their education and publications. He moves ethnic Romanians into Hungarian areas to dilute their influence. He demolishes villages and forcefully relocates many Romanians and Hungarians alike. But it's one particular action against a Hungarian pastor in December 1989 that will trigger everything that comes next. If you're enjoying the video so far, please consider subscribing to the channel and leaving a like on the video. December 14th, 1989. The city of Timișoara in western Romania, near the Hungarian border. A small crowd gathers outside the home of Reverend Laszlo Tökész. He's an ethnic Hungarian, a Reformed church pastor. A local court has ordered his eviction. But when officials show up, they find 30 to 40 of his parishioners blocking the door. They refuse to let the police take him. The militia backs off to avoid a confrontation. 2 days later, on December 16th, Ceaușescu orders them to go back, this time with Securitate forces, to get him out. But by now, the crowd has grown. Hundreds of people have shown up. They're chanting slogans, anti-Ceaușescu slogans, tearing down his portraits, burning red flags. The authorities respond with tear gas, water cannons, arrests. It doesn't stop the protesters. It makes them protest even more. The next day, Tökész is dragged out and evicted. But the demonstrations don't end. They spread. By December 17th, thousands of people are in the streets of Timișoara. They're tearing down communist symbols, building barricades, breaking windows. This has become larger than one pastor. The military moves in. Tanks roll through the streets. They open fire. On December 18th, the mayor declares martial law, prohibiting people from going about in groups of larger than 2. Ceaușescu departs out of the country. He's on an official state visit to Iran. By December 19th, the protests have spread across Transylvania. Workers in major cities go on strike in solidarity with Timișoara. Local party functionaries fail to get factory workers to resume work. On December 20th, Timișoara shuts down. Massive crowds of workers enter the city. Protest leaders form a revolutionary committee. They call it the Romanian Democratic Front. They draft a list of demands and present them to Prime Minister Constantin Dascălescu. An inquiry into the killings, the release of prisoners, Ceaușescu's resignation, freedom of the press. Ceaușescu flies back on December 20th. That evening, he appears on national television. He condemns the protesters. He blames foreign agitators. He calls the demonstrations a plot against Romania. But the protests keep growing. December 21st, Bucharest. Ceaușescu decides it's time to show strength. He organizes a mass rally in front of the Central Committee building. The square is packed. Tens of thousands of people have shown up. State television is broadcasting live. Ceaușescu steps onto the balcony. He starts his speech. He condemns the protesters in Timișoara. He promises higher wages, higher pensions, more benefits for children. The usual promises. But the crowd scatters. People flee the square and pour into the streets of Bucharest. They're shouting anti-Ceaușescu slogans. The police respond with tear gas and water cannons. Arrests, beatings, some officers even open fire. But the protests don't stop. That night, Bucharest explodes. Military units are mobilized. Troops are sent to the city center. But something has shifted. The fear is gone. December 22nd, mourning. People take to the streets in every major city in Romania. Thousands, tens of thousands. The regime is losing control. Minister of Defense General Vasile Milea refuses to carry out Ceaușescu's order to shoot demonstrators. Shortly after, he takes his own life. At noon, Ceaușescu appears on television again. He declares a state of emergency. He orders the army to restore order. But this time, the army and militia refuses. Soldiers and police officers switch sides. They join the revolutionaries. By midday, protesters storm the Central Committee building. Ceaușescu and Elena are still inside. They flee to the roof and escape by helicopter. Minutes later, revolutionaries take control of the building. They tear down the Communist Party flags. Petre Roman declares the revolution a victory. Actor Ion Caramitru and poet Mircea Dinescu announce the victory from the public television studio. The same happens on public radio. The revolution has won. Ceaușescu is gone. Romania is free. But it's not over yet. That night, fighting breaks out across the country. Unidentified groups open fire on each other. Buildings are attacked. Civilians are killed in the crossfire. And the death toll keeps rising. A new governing body forms. They call it the National Salvation Front Council. Ion Iliescu becomes its leader. He appears on television at 11 p.m. on December 22nd. He announces the front's objectives: democracy, freedom, dignity, dissolving the institutions of the old regime. The front calls for an immediate ceasefire, for the trial of the Ceaușescus, for confiscation of weapons, and for unification of the armed forces. But the fighting continues. December 23rd, December 24th, exchanges of gunfire, explosions, more people dying. The government needs to restore order fast. Nicolae and Elena Ceaușescu are captured shortly after their helicopter escapes. They're taken to a military base in Târgoviște, about 50 miles from Bucharest. On December 25th, 1989, they face trial. A very quick trial. Military justice, fast and brutal. The proceedings last less than 2 hours. The charges are read: genocide, undermining state power, destroying the national economy, attempting to flee the country with over $1 billion stolen from the state treasury. Nicolae and Elena are defiant. They refuse to recognize the court's authority. Nicolae keeps invoking the constitution. He's still the president, he says. This is illegal. Elena shouts at the judges, calls them traitors. But it doesn't matter. The verdict is already decided. Both are found guilty. Both are sentenced to death. Execution by firing squad. Immediately. They're taken outside to a courtyard. Their hands are tied. Nicolae starts singing the Internationale, the communist anthem. Elena is screaming. At 2:50 p.m., the firing squad opens fire. Both are killed instantly. That evening, Romanian television broadcasts the news. A short video of the trial is shown, then heavily censored footage of the bodies, proof that the dictator is dead. The next day, December 26th, the National Salvation Front appoints Petre Roman as Prime Minister. On December 27th, Ion Iliescu is elected president. The revolution is over. Romania is free, but at a terrible cost. Over 1,000 people died during the uprising. Thousands more were injured. But for this moment, at least, the people had won.